Yo, Crayola, what's up, man?
What's up, brother? Just getting off
Dude,
and you popped up.
love to hear it, man. Love to hear it, dude. I've had a wild day. I don't even think I've sent out a tweet today. I've been too busy. But I had to keep the spaces streak rolling, so here we are.
You're a madman. You're a legend, bud.
The OG, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. My birds are going to the Super Bowl. My birthday was the other day. Bitcoin's going to 30K. It's a good week, brother.
Yes, sir, dude. Tomorrow is going to be a big day. Um, so yeah, tomorrow should be fun. Hopefully, FOMC coming up. I mean, your birds still have, let's see. I mean, yeah, birds coming up here in a bit. Like, be honest with me, man. What do you think the prospects are versus the Chiefs? I'm actually excited. I think it's going to be a really good game.
We put up 31 points against the best D in the league, bro. I was not impressed with the Chiefs or the Bengals. I was rooting for Joe Burrow, but oh well.
So
I wasn't
you don't
impressed
think
with
a
that
gimpy
game, so
Mahomes
I think
can take y'all down?
ah, he's like Tom Brady, bro. You like he could look so garbage, and then just out of nowhere you get the goat. So I don't know. I think we can stop him. I think it's gonna be a good game.
Love to hear it, man. Smokey, what's up, man? Welcome back. How are you doing tonight?
Good, man. I love your just like super random spaces. I literally like you were talking in a space. It's so funny because I literally just closed out a space and then you're like, "Oh, here's a space." And I literally turned on notifications for you so I could like catch your spaces and hop in when I can.
Love that, man. Well, I appreciate you joining. Yeah, dude. I mean, I was saying, I don't think you were even in the audience yet. I've been so busy today. I haven't even had a chance to send out a freaking tweet. I don't think, but I've done these spaces every single day this month. So I was like, I just kind of wrapped up with everything for the day. So figured that I'd do a quick one real quick. And yeah, keep the streak alive. But dude, I don't know if y'all have noticed this or not. For the first time in forever, I was looking up and my ribbon, my bar, the banner thing at the top that has the spaces, it's back. I can actually see what spaces are happening now for the first time in forever. And dude, there are a lot of spaces that are happening right now. Holy crap, there are one, two, including this one. I see one, two, three, four, five other spaces that are happening concurrently to this one right now. It's kind of insane.
Oh, bro, it's crazy for me because we got a bunch of like NFT people that love to have spaces with like two people in it. So there's literally like 11 spaces like that up at the top of mine.
Yeah, okay, that's the
I
thing
just
though. It's
got off
kind
the
of
space
wild.
too. It's crazy, man.
Well,
It's just
80s, yeah. No,
yeah,
I saw you were on the banner when I was scrolling through there a second ago.
yeah, it's nuts, man. The amount of content that's being pumped out right now, and the connections being made in spaces, and all of it, us just having conversations. It's a fucking beautiful thing to witness, man.
Okay, here's my thing. It kind of blows my mind because I've been in this isolated bubble where I have not had the banner for so long that I really haven't been able to get a good gauge for how these concurrent spaces are happening, who all's doing them, when they're happening. So I'm excited to see that again. But it's also kind of surprising because it's like, damn, like you said, Smokey, this is probably just the tip of the iceberg of what's actually out there right now. It's insane compared to what it used to be even 6 months or a year ago. There was not this much that was happening up on the banner the last time that I had it.
It's not even the bull market yet either, dude. It's gonna get freak nasty real quick.
Well, that's my thing. They're really going to have to figure out how to organize this shit before the bull market hits, right? Like, I, that's one thing I really wish they had. Like, I wish they had more of a clubhouse type interface where you could scroll through and find this stuff and categorize it a lot better. Because if you want to find a space, say on football, right? If you want to talk the Super Bowl coming up, and you want to see what spaces are happening right now regarding that, there's nothing good for it, right? As far as just searching, a topic and being able to find a relevant space. So they're definitely like, because you're right, Crayola, during the bull market, can you imagine how crazy this shit's going to be up here?
Dude, it's gonna be absolutely nuts. And I mean, I'm kind of biased because we've been grinding in these things. It doesn't matter, bear, bull, whatever. We're still here. Uh, and if we're in just an echo chamber and we haven't even busted out of that yet, it's gonna be crazy, man. Like it's gonna be every night. Nobody's gonna be sleeping. It's just gonna be a cluster on crypto Twitter of just a bunch of degens. And then like we were talking about the other night, how people are gonna pop in and be like, "Oh, see, I knew this is what was gonna happen. Been grinding every night." And be like, "Dude, who are you? I've never seen you before." Like, it's gonna be wild, man. Because I don't think we had that like 2020, 2021 spaces had just started. You had Clubhouse like popping up, and you had all these different avenues. And now that we've kind of been in this for a year and a half, it's going to be fun, but also crazy to see what a true bull market looks like in spaces.
No, it definitely is going to be. I mean, we're going to see things ramp up here, I think, as Bitcoin accelerates. Smokey, what you got, man?
I've been speaking with a lot, like I host a lot of spaces, and I've been speaking with a lot of different people about like what the future is, right? Because I agree with you guys. Like think about it when the bull run is here and there's 10 times more people in the market, and then there will be probably like 10 times or even more people in spaces. Like it's going to get absolutely insane. And then we're having all of these web 2 brands come in, and I've been talking to this one lady. She's like the lead of branding at Polygon, and I'm gonna like kind of chat with her about this and see what her thoughts are. But my thinking is that one way for these big brands to come into the Web3 space will be through spaces, right? They're gonna enter through these content creators or like spaces hosts, and I think spaces the technology is going to get developed quite a bit to be much more friendly than it is now, because it's honestly pretty terrible comparatively to like Twitch or Clubhouse or some of these other places where, like, I don't know, but I think that is going to be, something that's going to come, and the people that have built these like massive audiences, like they're really going to be able to capitalize. Because I mean, do you know how much money these Web2 brands spend on these low value like YouTube ads where the conversion rate is probably horrendous, comparatively to this, like on spaces, it's an engaged audience the whole time. Like maybe they're not like talking about the brand a whole lot, but they're like, hey, it's sponsored by so and so. So it's always in the back of their mind, this completely engaged audience, that this is sponsored by Target or whatever, right? So I think that type of a future is pretty exciting. And I mean, if you guys are wanting to build up a space, like honestly, it's not that hard, man. You just go and speak on a lot of spaces, host some spaces, build up an audience, and then be prepared for that sort of thing, But yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Hey, question for you, Kaleo. So I know that in the past, like you've done some spaces where you've had to talk about. So this space is being, like you'll basically have a sponsorship for it. What is that like? For somebody like me that's never done something like that, what is that process like? You just have to give them like a shout out for sponsoring you, or you know what I mean?
I mean, I think it depends on whoever you talk to. Like, if you do a sponsored space, it's whatever you get. Like, the majority of ones that I do, like, I'll just pin a tweet up top. And then I'll talk through a little bit of content somewhere at the beginning, then, somewhere either in the middle or toward the end. Nothing too crazy. And my thing too is like, if I'm going to partner with anybody, it's got to be a natural fit, like, something that I actually use. Unfortunately, FTX was one of those. But, so rare, like, I actually really do like playing the so rare shit. So, like that's an easy one. But I know there are a lot of, like, dude, there's so many other opportunities. Like, honestly, if I really wanted to, I could go through my DMs and I could have a sponsored space like every single day easily. It's just a matter of, one, I'm too lazy, but two, there are a lot of things out there that just I don't think really align with what I align with fully. So, yeah, like But I think what Smokey was talking about, though, wasn't even necessarily doing that type of sponsorship. I think he was talking about how, like, the way that Twitter could easily monetize this content similar to a Twitch type format, where you just run an ad somewhere at the very beginning, right before they can enter onto it. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, here's an interesting space, but you've got to listen to 15 seconds of ad space or 30 seconds of ad space. 30 would be too much, but like 15 seconds of ad space before you hop on. I think that would be, and then from there you could even do a little bit of a profit share type thing. But yeah, Smokey, what's up?
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember what space this was on. I think it was on a Thread Guy space, and there's some pretty like this head of branding at like Nike or something, and there's some people in the space, and we were kind of talking about this, and somebody mentioned that they went to a space that Dr. Oz was hosting. I don't, and they were just saying that, here's this big TV personality that comes in, hosts a Twitter space, and halfway through the show, he's just like, hey, I'm going to take a break. And then just for 2 minutes, there's like a commercial, and then he comes back. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to take a coffee break. We're going to like hear from our sponsors. And it was just like, oh, that's so smart, like to structure it like that. Like, how cool is that? Like, man, I don't know. Like, it's just cool to see somebody that's like, that professional in that type of an industry come in here and to see what their technique is.
I like that. That's interesting. 80s, what's up, man?
I was going to say that there's been a lot of content creators out here that have been kind of promoting lately what Elon has been kind of gearing Twitter up to ultimately monetize what we are doing up here. And I've actually, to your point, Smokey, I've seen some spaces outside of our ecosystem that a lot of people are starting to come in and utilize spaces. A lot of prominent people, a lot of people that are influencers in other areas, but you've also seen Elon Musk on spaces before. And I think that brings another attention to this area of communication. And once he starts setting up monetization for tips and content creators to gain those sponsorships from Web2 brands, you're going to start seeing an entirely new user experience as well to utilize this platform. And I think that's coming really soon, man.
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy too, 80s. But not like seriously, like 6-7 months ago, I'm on spaces with like Shaquille O'Neal. He like pops in for soul spaces and stuff all the time.
That's what I'm saying. So
it's
like
freaking nuts, dude.
Well, when he was paid, he did.
Well, it's his project, it's Astrals or whatever that he has.
No, it's not his project.
I mean, he was the face of the project.
Yeah.
Was it his project though?
Yeah.
But the point of it is it brings the conversation right here, right there. You don't have to go and go through any other hoops. You can hop on stage and listen to somebody or interact with somebody as a speaker much more easier than you've ever been able to really do in history with the access that Twitter has provided with spaces.
Exactly, man. DOG, what's up?
I just wish they'd make like an actual way for people to talk on like their desktop, because people are using this as like an actual podcast platform, sort of. I just wish that there was an easy way
It's
to
coming. It's coming.
Get like high quality stuff. I'm running an Android emulator right now just so I can listen and talk on my computer. It's ridiculous.
No, that's funny. B-Ways, welcome up to the stage. How are you doing this evening, sir?
My man.
Absolutely wonderful. I'm back in the bar, as you might expect. No, all great. Wonderful. How's it going tonight? I'm on a mission today. I'm trying to convince Fedor Holz, the poker player, who's already a stunk holder, by the way, to use some of his proceeds on a very successful poker journey, it seems, and reinvest into the stonks. So I'm on a mini mission.
Dude, I hit him up.
Let's
I
go.
hit him up today to do that too. Let's go.
Hey, I think he's somebody that could do it.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Fedor likes the stonks. I mean, I'll say this. I never once said anything to Fedor directly, and he tweeted out about the stonks himself before. So, and he told me too. I was like, yeah, awesome. well, welcome. And he's like, who says this is my, these are my first stonks? So he's apparently held them for a while, and I just had no idea.
Yeah, I love
But
that.
what's his current position right now?
To be honest, I haven't checked.
And
Maybe someone else knows here, but he must have
I don't know
multiple.
position, but last one I saw was 300K on the table.
well, that's not bad. That's not bad. I know he said it was a $5 million pot, or $5 million for first place, I think. So don't even have me start throwing out poker terms, because I'm going to F everything up. So I can't. I'm just going to make myself look like an idiot because I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, I can follow, like if I'm watching, I'll follow it, but it'll be like bringing, never mind. I'm not going to be sexist and go down the sports route and make some bad comparisons and have this recorded and clipped. And I'm just not going to do that. But I think y'all know some of the analogies that I could have used there. And before I dig myself into a deeper hole, let's go ahead and move on, since I have been MIA basically all day from the world of Twitter. What did I miss? What was the big news that dropped today? I feel like everything's kind of just, waiting on FOMC tomorrow, waiting on the Fed. Hey, market bounce back where we said it was going to bounce back yesterday. So that's good. Everything's so far looking pretty good there. But did I miss anything too crazy? I don't care if it's NFTs, market, whatever else. I mean, just let me know.
Yeah. You so Jim Cramer is long, so you'll be afraid to hear that. And Michael Burry is short, so it's kind of the double whammy. So that's a bad news here.
I mean, Michael Burry is always short. I don't think there's ever been a day that Michael Burry has not been short.
Always short.
Yeah, that's true. So, but he's short. He's short while Kramer is long. I think that is the double whammy.
Well, but I mean, again, like Burry being short used to be a meme in and of itself. Like, he's one of those guys that was short Tesla all the way up. And like, this is tough for me to say with the adjusted prices, so I've got to go to the chart real quick. I think he was short Tesla from like $35 all the way up to about 400. At least that's what he said that he was. And then, he'll claim clout when it starts to go back down. So like, how much clout can you give a person for saying, oh yeah, like, it eventually did kind of crash, but it didn't even crash back to the level that you started shorting from, that you started releasing this bearish sentiment. So can you claim clout for that? I'm going to give it a no.
And it's funny because
you can go B-Ways.
I was going to say, it's funny because I shorted not quite as early as Michael did on Tesla, but too early, which I think Tesla was at $500, $600 at the time, which is, I don't know what it is now. Probably
that was
80.
probably pre-split.
No, it was definitely pre-split. It was definitely pre-split. I can't remember what the split was, but maybe 2x was what Michael Burry went short at. So maybe I sympathized too much with him because of my own mistake.
Oh, market cap wise, it was crazy to watch. Because you compare it to Ford, it'd be like 20x what Ford's market cap was. Oh god, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say, you think Michael Burry is just addicted to shorting? He's like chasing that high from 2008.
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, let's talk about this too, though. Kramer, right? I gotta believe that he knows that people make fun of him for when he makes calls, so he already knows the counter trade himself. I gotta believe that he's saying that, knowing that we're all gonna react the way we do, but he's actually playing it the right way. And like he's saying, "Oh, I'm going long."
Did you see him cry when he talked about the Meta earnings report? I thought what you were saying was right, and then I saw his tears on national television. I'm like, like he's maybe actually probably following through with some of these calls.
That's true. That's a good point.
But you got to think next level, man. You got to think that. I'm already thinking. This is a great thought, by the way. Like I do believe that Kramer is doing that already. But you got to think next level, right? So if Kramer is doing this, you got to think if Kramer is long, you're going to be short. So I'm long as well. So I'm pro Kramer at this point. Like you got to go next level.
Well, there's got to be a point, you know, KSI even had this for a minute, where eventually, maybe you're right, Nick, where you think one thing, but you finally buy into the fact that everybody's fading you and the opposite of what you do is right. So maybe he is finally at that point, and maybe he actually is short, but he's saying that he's long to try to fade himself. So that could be it, because eventually, I don't care one way or the other, like, you can only be so perfectly terrible for so long, right? Before that streak finally ends and you get one right. So I think he's due. If he's long, I think he's due. This is not my bias playing into it whatsoever. Like zero bias involved in this. I think Kramer's right this time.
It is pretty impressive when a guy gets it either right or wrong 90% of the time.
Dude, that's me every time I buy a top. I'm like, how do I hit that perfectly on the day within the hour, but I can't catch a bottom to save my effing life?
Just do the opposite of whatever you feel like. I remember KSI coming on it and saying that. That was funny. Gloating about being a bear.
Oh, yeah. Smokey, that was probably my best Twitter space that I ever had. The funniest was it was like a KSI Carol Baskins combo. That was a funny day.
It was amazing, man. That was amazing. I remember that one. It was like, I could not believe it happened. I was like, it was there live. I was like, Carol Baskin opining on.
Bro, there
I think
for a
markets.
bit. You have to think about this was back in May, right? So in May, NFT stuff had just cooled down. I think she had an NFT project. So Carol Baskin follows me, and she actually, here's the cool thing: she didn't even come up and shill her shit on stage. She was just talking. Like I actually really respected that. And I was tempted to ask her, the typical Carol Baskin questions, but I held off, I think, for better judgment. And yeah, man, I mean, she would just hang out in the audience actually for about a solid month. And then I think NFTs and the market was down long enough, she gave up. So she'll be back.
Yeah, Carol was bidding $28K.
She's probably looking for a husband.
Yeah, dude, I mean, he might be in one of these spaces for all we know. But then again, I mean, I think we all know where he is.
Yep. Yeah, the first one, yeah, whatever, second or third. I guess that should have been a top signal again as well, right? I mean, May was like
top signal. That was after everything already dumped, B-Ways.
I know, but that's also when the kind of Crypto Boy song came out. Maybe that was like kind of I know that everyone thought it was a top signal, or it was already kind of in the downtrend, but people still had belief in May. Yeah. It was not over yet. It was not over, and some signs should have given us the final push.
Even the Crypto Boy song. I mean, the Crypto Boy song. Like, I think it was more of a bottom thing than a top thing, honestly. Like, did we go lower? Yes. But I mean, still, like the entire song was just shitting on people in crypto. There was nothing positive about it. I mean, I guess you had the little choruses or the verses, I guess, whatever the hell it is. I don't know music. Where the, where the guys were talking and giving their rebuttals, and, they were okay. It was pretty catchy. But again, what did it do? It was all bearish on anybody involved in crypto. It wasn't like, the real top signal, B-Ways, the real top signal, Randy mother effing Zuckerberg. Like, the Zuck alien attack on the metaverse, whenever she started coming out and doing things, I mean, first off, the Wag Me video that she did, like, the we're all gonna make it. Yeah! Like, no, that was one. And I think you can even go back and pin it on multiple charts, on multiple everything, exhaustion across the market. Like, that was obvious. And I think everybody even said it was obvious at the time. But even when you have obvious top signals at the top, like, it's tough to act on them. So that was one. But I mean, do you remember even later on that year, I think after things started to dip a little bit, the video that's even cringier to me than the we're all going to make it one was whenever she started trying to make the term whitelist, you know, a politically correct thing, and change it to my community only does hug lists. Like what? Like what? What world is a hug list something that anybody wants to be on? Like that sounds like a pedophile, like, you know, like no. Like there is zero world. Maybe like if this is like a Teletubbies promotional whatever, like sure, a hug list, that makes sense. But any other project, a mother effing hug list? Like, in what world do you think that is normal and acceptable? Like, I'm sorry, that is something that still gets to me.
It sounds like you didn't make the hug list to me. That's what I will say.
No, he got rocked.
to. Dude, that's like me. Yeah, that's like me saying like start my own project. Being Mr. Crayola or Mr. Crayon, being like, all right, kids, now reach in the crayon box, pick out your favorite color. You know.
You sound a little bit too experienced with that, Crayola.
Are you?
Nah, I've been married for 6 years, man. I know my lane, man.
What's up, 80s?
It sounds like he's next to a lion. I don't know. It sounds like something's roaring.
Well, we got Crayola next to a lion. B-Way's, you know, in a tub of crickets. Earlier, it sounded like you had the blinker on. Wait, Smokey, are you with B-Ways right now?
Hey, yo. I didn't want to give it away, but yeah.
You know, like this may sound ignorant, but B-Ways, I honestly didn't know there were crickets in Miami. And
there's iguanas in Miami, brother.
I've just never really thought of associating crickets with Miami, and I you know, kind of an ignorant take. Crickets are probably just about everywhere that is not incredibly freezing cold.
No, I don't think there's any crickets here, to be honest. Sorry to interrupt. I think it's just the quality of my headphones. I'm at a bar, as I mentioned earlier, so I don't see any crickets here.
T's in the crowd. He's actually a cricket farmer. He's like a world-renowned expert on it. You should bring him up here and pick his brain on fucking crickets.
Happens to be true. It's actually true.
Please, T, come tell us about crickets.
All right, T. While we get T up here, Smokey, I want to hear what else is going on in the world today that I missed out on. Catch me up. I want to hear it. You're in all these spaces grinding. What have we missed?
Well, I don't know if you guys have heard of Luke Trades, but he is a guy that has been doing some charting, and he's been blowing up lately. It's crazy. He's getting like 500 followers a day. It's absolutely insane. And yeah, he's just really fun. And we actually got him into the Utes community. And so we started up this little thing that we're doing, and it's going to be coders, Twitter growth, which will be handled by me, like, you know, engagement, building your account, trading, and then video content creation. So it's all people within the DGods and Utes community to learn those skills. So yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's we're just kind of trying to build all the high value Web3 skills within the community to then go out and just dominate, you know, and it's like the seeds early on that will really grow and pay dividends with the type of mentorship that's going to come from that.
Hey, love to hear it, man. Love to hear the hustle. You know, hey, I do want to hear your take on something real quick, though, that I was just thinking about. And I'm sorry, I've got ADHD. I know, I realize this. I'm a terrible host. I jump from one thing to the next without even thinking about it. Like, it's a late at night thing. Like, what can I say? So, like, but this has been on my mind also. And I feel like it's something that's starting to reach a little bit of a tipping point. I don't know if it's justified or not. I want to hear everybody's takes, starting with Smokey, then we can work our way around on the open edition craze. You know, is it exhausted? Have we already reached peak exhaustion? And if not, should it be? Like, how do we feel about this? I feel like every single little micro influencer out there right now is trying to drop an open edition and be the next Jack Butcher. And then it's really just a complete drain on the market. Like, I don't think a lot of these are incredibly well thought out, like, because the open edition craze just started, right? So, like, if you're talking about a project, a collection, durability, all the things that usually go into the planning phase of releasing something, like, the majority of open editions don't check those boxes for me. But okay, I am open to this conversation, open to criticism, and open to whatever. But that is my take. I am going to be up here and say I am against open editions. Let's hear other takes. Somebody, Smokey, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I haven't looked too much into the open editions. I think, like, from what it sounds like, it's like kind of smaller supply collections as far as I know, and is it like one of one art that these
Yeah,
guys are doing?
it's just straight up one-on-one art. That's, I mean, or like a collection. It's a dumbed down version of just making your own fucking art on the blockchain. They just coined the term open edition. It's like
Dude, honestly, the way I view an open edition, I don't even view it really as much of an NFT collection as I do like just a pure shit coin. Because, like, realistically, no, and here's my take. Like, realistically, what is the difference between an open edition and like a shit coin that has a supply of 10,000? I guess, other than the fact that you can't fractionalize the open edition, it only has 10,000 pieces that it can fraction. Like, you can't do a 0.00 whatever of it. I mean, to me, it's the exact same shit. Like, what is the difference? They all share the exact same JPEG. They're all in the exact same bucket with it. Like, it's not.
What's up, Kaleo? I love you.
What's up,
but
man?
Also, was that a rhetorical question, or are you looking for an actual answer?
Okay, no, I really want, I want people to expand, either, feed into this, give me other perspective. I'm open to, like, learning more and having a real conversation about this.
I do respect the hands, so I don't want to speak too quickly out of turn, but I do have a point to come back to that if you are open to it.
Oh, let's go in here, and I'll go to the hands right after. I never get the chance to have you up here on stage, BGF, so I appreciate having you up here. I will give you a one-time cut pass. And,
well, I really only joined the stage to ask when Kaleo, LedgArt, Wonky Stonks, Open Edition burn for the WAGMI pinned chart meta. But aside from that, I do think that there is value in open editions. However, the meta is getting burned by the quote unquote degen speculators that rotated from speculating on PFPs to speculating on art. The fundamental value in having an open edition is a more accessible price point for artists' work. I personally view it as like a proof of patronage. And if you view it through that lens, I think it was Grant Yoon, who's an incredibly popular artist at the moment, kind of was posing the idea of, okay, what if he puts out an open edition at 70 ETH, which is the all-time high primary sale of his work right now? If he only sold one of them, is that then fair market value for that work? If he sells 2 or 3, does that make it a cash grab? In my opinion, no. That's what the market is valuing it at. It's an artist putting a piece of their work available for sale at a certain price point for a certain amount of time, or indefinitely. And if the market decides to degen gamble on it, I put that on the onus of the people buying the work, not the artist. I think it gets into a really gray area when the artist feeds into the FOMO and the hype and the speculative burn mechanisms, this for that, and game for the other, and all that kind of stuff. But fundamentally, I think open editions are fine. It's a proof of patronage and a generally more accessible way to approach a larger edition for somebody that may be inaccessible in price otherwise.
VGF, I really appreciate that commentary, because there are some good points there. right? There are some really, really solid points toward it. And I guess at the end of the day, that is the thing. I mean, you're not forcing people to mint these out, right? Like people are degenning them on their own. So at the end of the day, you really are opening up that door to accessibility to be able to collect from an artist at a more fractionalized price point that you may not have had the opportunity to do otherwise with some of these one-of-one artists. I do see that, and I think there is some value there. I think that I've just seen it to where it's been a little bit overplayed and it's been taxing.
I was gonna say,
So,
if I look at the other side of it, like, are there plenty of these open editions that are absolutely burnt out that the artist is going to do nothing with and like have no future value besides collecting a unique token pointing to a picture on the blockchain? Yeah, there are a fucking shit ton of those. But like at the end of the day, if artists are, like, if the fallout of this is that there's a bunch of artists that are winning, I think that we don't get mad when a bunch of people buy the fucking top on a shit coin, do we? Like, so like, how is this much different than that? It's still like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's quite a bit of overlap actually. But like all of a sudden we're getting mad at artists for making money. They're a
but
business.
VGF, here's the question though: where do you draw the distinction between artist and just somebody grifting onto the trend?
And I think that's where there is some gray area, because there are some quote unquote artists that are playing into the meta, which is in my opinion fine if people are willing to buy their work. I get into questionable territory when they start really really honing in on like the FOMO and speculation, because that's where it gets into like a really weird territory of like, is it for the art, or are you trying to project it as a financial instrument? And I'm of the mind that like, if the utility is the art and you burn art for more art, and it's an accessible and gamified way for the the artists to build their audience. Like if you look at early Nifty Gateway days, there were some early like open editions on Nifty Gateway that gave some incredible artists, like we view them as incredible artists now, but they were practically no names back then. And it gave them an entire new audience that they went on to become these phenomenally, well respected and revered artists. But I do think that the meta is kind of getting a little fried, in my opinion.
Well, I appreciate that, man. You opened me up a little bit more to be a little bit more receptive about this. I'm going to go, Raj. I know you had your hand up. I'll give you the chance to speak if you want to first before I kick it over to Crayola. If not, then let me know.
Yeah, VGF basically just hit the nail on the head there. Only thing I wanted to add to it was, I don't think people should blame the artist. In my personal opinion, I've minted, I think, 2 open editions. One of them had 16,000 mints. The other one had like 9,000, something like that. I don't think there was a set like supply on it, so like everybody bought it, and there was like a burn mechanism where if you buy 3 of the first ones, you get 1 of the second ones, stuff like that. There's like 3 levels to it. But I think we're just in a community where anything that's popular or like a buzzword at the time just becomes a money grab for certain people. I bought the 2 open editions that I bought purely for the art because I thought they were really, really cool. And it was like $15 for me. So I was like, might as well. But I can see people buying like 30, 40, 50 of these. I don't think they actually give a shit about the art. I think they're just in it to say, if, this is the next open edition that's going to blow up and I'm going to make like 10 grand off of it. So I think the message kind of gets drowned with all the people trying to get profits out of these things. But I think the original intention for these was just purely to, get these people's art out there. And I think it's fantastic because these smaller artists usually don't have as big of a platform to kind of spread their artwork.
I think you hit the nail on the head too. With we shouldn't blame the pure intention artists out there, because you see this in cycles in this space. There's a lot of different metas to explore, and there are legitimate people that want to explore this new meta with good intentions, right? But then we go through the same cycle and over. It gets manipulated, and then we move on to another one. So that's where we kind of have to start breaking the mold, is getting out of these perpetuating cycles that we always run into.
Well, and the hard thing there is, like, how do you measure someone's intent?
Right. And that's where we're at with it too. Like, we have to get to a level where we can explore with good intent, with still combating some of those ill intention, with still having the capability to have some sort of success.
I got some,
Yeah, let's hear a few ways.
no, I got some stuff to add, but I'll do it after the end.
All right, I'm up. So just real quick. Yeah, I worry that like the smaller artists are still getting pushed out. I mean, if you have a big name dropping an open edition, people are going to flock to that first. So I feel like some of the smaller people might not have a chance to actually make a name for themselves. And if they do, it's going to be a really hard journey and a long grind. And I feel like they might not get the value that maybe they need to help get their career off the ground. With that said,
I think you're rugging a little bit on this.
I bought an open edition of Drifter. Oh no, still off.
Yeah, you're rugging just a bit, man. So
yeah,
I am going. Well, go ahead. I'll give you one more chance.
All right. So what I was saying is, I worry about the smaller artists who might not be able to get their project off the ground because people are going to flock to the more well-known people. And with that said, though, I bought an open edition of like Drifter Shoots for that same reason of like I'm never going to own one of his. But he ended up minting like 14,000. But I was just going to hold it. I'm not going to sell it. But it was cool to just say I have a piece of his artwork. But that was like 7 months ago, and that was before this narrative blew up. So
he was definitely ahead of his time with
the
with the First Day Out collection. So, and I remember he received a lot of heat for it at the time, but like, I think that was one where I easily understood where he was coming from with it, because his one-of-one pieces are so damn expensive that, it did make sense. He had a lot of people that were interested in collecting that just couldn't afford the other price point. So I got that, and it had a really cool story with it. So it made a really easy way to be able to bring in a new type of, so it made sense because it was true to his brand and true to the art. Richwater, welcome up. I think it's your first time in one of these spaces with us. Let's see, your bio says stunning 3D bottles with meaning plus art curation. Okay, I don't know. I'm not going to dive into that. But what's going on, man?
Appreciate you, man. Thanks. Hey, yeah, it is my first time coming in, and a surprise then, because I saw my bro Smokey chilling here, and then Doc Solana's snuck on in up to co-host. I'm like, whoa, small world. So thanks for bringing me in. With the one thing, there's so many points to go, so I try not to take long. But looking from the smaller the artists, that like in that scene, a lot of those artists, they reach out about open editions as a way of finding some tractions to get some movement, because it's a trending thing. So there's always a lot of talk about that, and they experiment with it, to do it high volume, low price, and try to get some attention towards their other works if they're not moving. But then you've got the other side, obviously, that volume represents success, and it's fucking rad when you get a few editions as a collector of a big chain piece where there's plus 10k or 14 or 20k editions out there. And then you've got the shitcoin, emotionless tactic of it with just trading also. So I think in asking the question about how do you identify, what's right or whatever, however you want to league that, I think it comes down to, well, from my point of view anyway, what interests me is the dialogue of the artist, their story, their consistency with what they do with the creation of their art. And if you look back at their early art and you see their art has refined or gotten better, or they've gone through a story of development through it, and they're successful in whatever manner, then I think that's a person that you can enjoy investing in, because essentially we are investing just in shitcoins. But with the utilities, obviously the appreciation and attachment to the creative side of what NFTs have first been really impacted with, or with digital art. So yeah, it's the intention and the story of the artist who, if they continue that, that's where my money is. Because especially when that artist dies, and if I'm still alive and there's a bag, you'll be able to make some great bucks back, because they always do really well, unfortunately. Then, but you know what I'm saying. Sorry for the dark ending.
Yeah, no, not a problem, man. I appreciate you jumping up here. First comment that I've got to make, man, is the freaking background music. Like, bro, I don't know, that like got me in a trance in the middle of that. In the middle of your what you had to say. But dude, I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away from this, that I agree with toward this, is really just being able to picture the true intention of it. Like, is it really about the art? Does the collection represent who they are? Does it seem something that's incredibly authentic, or does it seem rushed just for the meta of, oh man, open editions are popular right now, I need to just release something to do it? So I think that's kind of where I draw the distinction. I think that, if people are being honest, it's pretty easy to tell what the difference is between these collections as they're released. BTC art, you got art in the name. What's going on, brother?
Listen, I have nothing to say about the open edition. It sounds like the stuff that I love on Tezos, and everyone's free to have. But I had a dream last night. I got to share it with you guys. It's just going to be real quick. But do you know that PFP, or not the PFP, but like the waiting room guy who's standing in an empty pool, like, and it's like when he's just
No, I don't. I'm not gonna lie,
He's
bro.
talking
I have
about
no
he's
idea.
talking about the meme of
Narco, right?
yeah, it's from
Yeah,
like
From
Narcos or
Narcos.
whatever.
Narco.
Narcos, yeah.
Pablo Escobar?
Pablo Escobar, yeah.
Okay.
Standing in the empty pool, yeah.
Yes. Okay. And it was me, and I was there, and Frank walks up in a kimono. It was the weirdest thing, right? And then Luca walks up, and he's got the head of this ice penguin. It was, and I'm like, just standing there. I'm not saying anything. No one else is saying anything. I don't know if y'all trust your dreams, but it was one of the weirdest things. Okay. And then the next thing I know, like 80s is standing on the diving board, and he's like doing something with some sage or something. And then Crypto Kalios PFP walks up and just stands there. And I'm like, in my dream, I say, what am I supposed to do? And Kalios PFP says, buy beauty. And that was it. And so now, I don't know. I'm just like, when it comes to wonkies, I don't care anymore about any of the traits. I don't care about any of it. I'm buying beauty. Like I'm going with the dream. It came from somewhere, and I'm just buying beauty. And I don't know if it'll pay off. I don't care if it pays off, because I'll have more beauty in my life. But I just needed to share that because it was the weirdest dream I've had in the longest time. And I don't know. We'll leave it there. Peace.
Well, BTCR, really appreciate that story, but the only question I have is, the only thing I think is funny about it, that I guess I should say, is the fact that you think that was a dream, because bro, that was last night. Like, literally happened. Like, literally, You were standing alone
Yeah, bro. We
next
were
to
in
this pool.
ceremony
I was
last
giving
night.
you a hard time about like what you
You,
were
you
doing.
don't remember, bro?
And yeah, you don't remember this? Like this happened.
We were deep down the rabbit hole in ceremony last night, brother.
Deep
It
down
was
the rabbit
deep.
hole. So no, I mean that happened. But so assuming that that's fact, let's go ahead and move on. VGF has his hand up. What's going on?
Thank you guys for clearing that up. I'm so grateful. Love. Peace.
I'm having like fucking acid flashbacks or something. It's like that was very interesting.
Awesome.
One more thing I wanted to kind of call out on the open edition meta thing, because I think this is kind of the unsung hero or the piece that's being broadly overlooked is that this whole meta is only being like enabled because of the accessibility of the tools, which by far and large is Manifold. What Richard and Manifold have done for the accessibility and availability of tools for creators cannot be understated. Like it's incredible the work that they've done in supporting artists to have sovereignty over their own contracts and be able to make more of the work that they want to make. The fact that like even a year or two ago you would need to have like a custom Solidity dev, have them spin up your own contract, hopefully transfer ownership of you if you even made it that far, and now you can basically hop on and plug and play money Legos to build your own low code no code contract. So what we're seeing right now would have never been as readily available if it weren't for that. But I do think like talking about kind of the burn stuff, a lot of people, say it kind of jokingly that I'm tired of, the whole thing of, oh, I got to buy 10 of them because I got to burn this for that. And like, there's projects that have been doing this for years, the fact that it's now being leveraged for art is kind of the differentiator in my mind. But to me, it's incredible that we're now getting to the point that the artists have the tools to and are leaning in towards leveraging the tech to tell better stories or like express themselves artistically in a way that is native to the blockchain. Like, I mean, slinging NFTs as another means to sell your wares is perfectly justifiable in my opinion. That's great. Like, there are a lot of digital artists that have never been able to monetize in this way before. More power to them. But I'm incredibly bullish on artists being able to leverage blockchain technology to express themselves in a blockchain native way.
Yeah, man, Manifold can't be understated what it's done to the game. And we actually talked about that a little bit the other night where, my feelings about Manifold are mixed. And I think that it's mainly because, like, I do agree. I think overall it is a net positive. But I think that right now it leads back to my initial frustration with the open edition, how easy it makes it now for somebody to be able to release a project and to be able to release this open edition type of meta just takes away a little bit from some of the perceived work that you could distinguish that went into some of the projects prior to this. But even that, there's a little bit of a mixed line because if you have a solid Solidity dev already that you're partnered with, it's not like the contracts were that incredibly difficult to be able to spin up and get everything on the blockchain in the first place and released. It's just I think overall I'm starting to come around to the idea that open editions, same as any other collection, just require discretion going into it as far as understanding, you've got to do the due diligence when you're aping in that, first off, understanding that if you're aping some random open edition just because your buddy said there's not really much else meta behind it, driving it, may not do the best. But, some of these other legitimate one-of-one artists that are out there, and maybe a few random new people might pop up as well that are able to be successful. But, for me, VGF, like the thing that you brought up that I really do mean, and I've said this, but obviously with the Stonks being focused 100% on art, that's what I've always talked about, that I respect more than anything else in the space, that I think the projects that are focused on art have the greatest potential to be the transcendent projects, survive through the next bull run, because their tech's not going to be outpaced. Their, utility is not going to be outmatched. Like art is art, right? Like art is something, it stands the test of time. So B-Ways, you've had your hand up for a while. What's going on, man?
All right, thanks for that. I agree with all of the previous comments. I kind of wanted to link BT Card's non-open edition comments to the open edition comments, where BT Card was talking about the passion for the art, and we're all putting the blame or the onus of the open editions on the artists, but no one's looking at the collectors, right? And it's like, so Jack Butcher's checks were appreciated by everyone as a collector as well. But then suddenly we're blaming all the artists for kind of playing into the meta. But when it comes to open editions, if it's an actual open edition, people that are collecting are complaining that it's actually open. They wanted to close ASAP. Close it ASAP, close it at like 1,000 NFTs and make me money, right? So the open editions was supposed to be about the art. Like, appreciate the art, minted for 0.001 ETH, and appreciate the art. But if it comes down to it, people just want to make money, right? So, like, I think people forget about the original intention of open editions, which is just buy it to have it in your wallet, ultimately put it in your own museum, and appreciate the art. And it has pretty transformed within a space of a week, right? I mean, the checks were like early January, I believe. So within a space of a couple of weeks, it changed from appreciating the art to let's make money ASAP on open editions. And I think we don't look enough at ourselves, and we look a lot at what is the intention of the artist. But our intentions are horrible as investors, and I think we should look much more at that than we should at like an artist trying to take advantage of a meta that is, I think, a lot of fun. So I would love to kind of instigate people to have a proper look at themselves. I've been buying some pretty funny open edition art that is going to be open forever, right? Think about an open edition is not meant to be closed, right? If it's open, it's open. But people want it to be open for 24 hours, and they want it to be open, or they only want to buy like 23 hours and 59 minutes after it opened because they want to know how many are minted. And I think that's a good indication of how much we care about the art as a community. So I wanted to make that point. I do care about the art, but I also care about the investment. But I think 99% of the time we just care about the money. So that's the one kind of link I wanted to make between the 2 points I made.
Is like the middle curve like right click save argument for open edition? Like, hey man, if I wanted an open edition, I'll just go to the MoMA. Like I'll go to a museum if I wanted the open. Is that like the middle bell curve? Like,
I mean, for sake of
thing?
argument, I would say that a lot of people that are like buying open editions just for the art could just right click save. Like, I think right click save is a phenomenally underutilized like tool in this space. If you really only like the art and you can't afford it, one of the values of NFTs is it's out there. Everyone can appreciate the art, and that's where I distill it back to. It is a token of proving your patronage to that artist, and there are a lot of ways that artist can then utilize that proof of patronage to incentivize, reward you. You might be able to sell it in the future for more if you're lucky, or if all the circumstances stars align. But I think honestly, there's a lot of people that are buying open editions that could probably just right click save it, throw it up on a big screen, and be happy.
No, that's true, but like that's like true with any art. I mean, it's a digital versus IRL art. It doesn't actually change that much. So CC0, otherwise, like you still want to own the original. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think it's great if you can just have a picture, but you want to own the original visualized.
B-Ways, I'm curious. So with the experiment of just leaving it permanently open, say that one of those really does gain traction. At that point, regardless of how many are ever minted, is that where serial number really begins to start to become a bigger thing as far as the importance for the collection? So at that point, if you're collecting these open editions and say that they're open forever and you supported an artist earlier, you have an opportunity there via the serial number to be able to prove kind of that you were earlier at that point? Like, does it start to become a thing?
Dude, it's so funny you say that. I thought about it this week because of a actual edition that was going to be open for at least 80 days. And I did buy a bunch early on because I thought it would matter. Yeah, I think it does. Right. So even if you have like a million, this is CC0 to the max, right? You have like a million minted at 0.001. But if you mint it early on, if you can prove, which you should be able to in the blockchain, that you minted it on the first couple of days, those early editions of the edition will be worth more, right? So that's why I love those kind of proper open editions. So yeah, it's funny you say that because I did think about it for the last couple of days. And I think the answer is yes.
Quick question for you guys real quick. So I've seen a few spaces where I feel like they've got one extra row of speakers. Is there any way to make that happen? Because I could have sworn
they've been maxing out at 10 lately for me.
But I was on one the other day where I saw 15 speakers up on stage.
You got to know a guy, bro.
Yeah. And speaking of knowing a guy, you want to throw Rooster up here as co-host? I'm gonna head to bed, dude.
All right, man. Take it easy, 80s. And
Much love.
Sure, I'll make Roosters the next co-host. Take it easy, man. I got about another half hour left in me myself.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
Peace. Love you.
Yo, what's going on, Calio?
Yo, what's going on?
Yo, thanks for popping me up. Yeah, how are we feeling, Wonky, tonight? What's going on? How's the east side of NFTs today?
The east side of NFTs, bro. That's what I'm trying to pick up on tonight myself, because I have been MIA all day. I've just been really busy, so I haven't even been able to really be on Twitter or anything like that. So I don't know what's going on as far as the past 24 hours, and that's what I've been trying to catch up on with tonight's space.
So I got a little update. This is a little Basho update. Like we got like whitelisted for the Loud Punks. I haven't really looked into it, but it seems really dumb that they're selling lifetime VIP passes if you buy a Loud Punk. It's a 1.5 ETH mint. I think it's going to get faded really hard because everyone got wrecked last year on higher mint, higher like original mint prices. So I think a lot of people are going to paper or like not realize the utility of like getting a VIP pass for every Rolling Loud concert. I don't even go to music festivals, so I'm going to flip this shit to some asshole that wants to go to every single Rolling Loud like concert, or you know what I mean? There's going to be someone out there that like, if this isn't like, unless they're like really strapped for cash, I don't know why they need. I think they're going to make about 10 million. There's 55 of them. 1.5 ETH mint. The public mint's on Friday. It's not over allocated, but it's probably going to mint out before it even gets to the public mint. But you have to understand, this has only been done once before. I think it was like American Airlines in the 80s had a program where like you could just pay for unlimited flying. I don't know what the price tag was back then, but like they stopped doing it because they realized that's fucking stupid, and you can't like. It's nice for cash flow, but I don't know like what marketing guy thought of that. But that guy probably never worked another day in his life. But we're gonna buy those Loud Punks, and I think
it's not a bad price. Like, I was looking at it. The VIP weekend for Rolling Loud is $1,100. So, yeah, I guess it would pay itself off right now if you're looking at ETH at 1,700. Like, I guess by year number 3.
No. You can go to any. There's like 7 of them. It's not just the one of my. I think there's all of them. So it's like you can make it back in like 2 events. Like within. I think I don't know how many they host a year, but I think is it like. Does anyone know how many Rolling Loud like events there are
it's
a year?
Few. I know
there's
like
usually only 1 or 2, I think.
And then I know they do in Thailand. Like they go to Brazil as well. They do a few places in Europe, and I know that at the very least they do LA and Miami. And in America.
Okay. So I think if I'm not mistaken, it counts for all of them. So technically, yeah, you can make it back in pretty quickly. You can't rent out the tickets because that would constitute a security. I'm sure people are going to find workarounds for that, but I think it's insanely undervalued. And I'm like, they're either like strapped for cash, or they need like a big insurance fund for something. I don't know like why they need $13 million.
Yeah, I feel like
Um,
I don't know. The thing about that is like $13 million is so a lot of money. And then off rip, right, 5,500. That's like 2% of their capacity at the shows, right? I think Miami does anywhere between 210,000 and like 250,000 people. Was the last couple events in Miami. So it's really like not a large portion of their, attendance that they're pretty much blocking off for it. And they're probably not expecting all 55, right, 100 tickets to be used at every single Rolling Loud event. And then also the royalties, right? Like I haven't looked at what they set royalties at. But if they're like around 10% or whatever, and they're just trading at 2K, right? That's $200 per sale that they're going to be raking in. So I think the royalties is probably what they're banking on the most, because they'll probably bring in like at least another 5 million over the first few months on royalties alone.
Hey, Rooster and Bog, is it full access for any events? Because like
Yeah, it's you get VIP
VIP for all.
every single
Yeah.
Rolling Loud event for the rest of the lifetime. And Rolling Loud is like one of the biggest music festivals in the world right now. So I agree that it's also undervalued. I'm trying to scrape up my liquidity because I'm trying to grab two, one to flip to some
Yeah.
bozo, and then for entry costs, and then one to hold probably, so I can just pull up whatever.
I'm flipping them to two bozos because I'm not like, I mean, I'm probably gonna be the bozo, but like I just don't know how long they're gonna be around, man. All it takes is like one terrible event to happen at one of those. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if you can get 10 ETH for that quickly, when people like, you can do like a discounted cash flow and just literally see like, wow, that they're pretty stupid for offering this. So that I'm gonna buy. If I don't get the second one on the whitelist, I'm just gonna probably buy it right away. I highly doubt they go underneath the floor price unless like the people like. I mean, I wouldn't put it past some of these idiots in the space that just can't comprehend anything and they just buy things blindly. There might be some people like that, but I'm gonna free up some ETH for that, and then flip it to some asshole who likes to like. Like, I mean, honestly, what are you gonna do like at a concert, at a festival besides like, I don't really do drugs, so like, I mean, unless you're doing drugs all weekend, like that's on you, yeah, then it's probably worth, you're probably gonna have a good time, but I'm just gonna flip that
So I
shit
peeped around in
to,
their Discord a little bit, because like one of the main factors that I want to look at to like kind of see how the post mint activity was going to work is like try and gauge how many people in the Discord were like NFT natives and how many people were like more Web2 native people that just know Rolling Loud. And it seemed like a pretty like good split, maybe even 60-40 like non-NFT people I saw hanging out in their Discord. There's a lot of people like posting, they have like a channel for like people just to post Rolling Loud memories, and that shit was like flooded. So depending on like what that allocation is, the main danger is going to be right the NFT boys that have been wrecked for the last 12 months, right? Who are going to take their point 0.2 profits on 1.5 ETH just to secure their bag. So I'm thinking it'll probably range between 2 and 3 ETH for like 1,000 sales or so, just people covering entry costs and everything. And I'm expecting it to move up from there because, like you said, I also agree that it's pretty undervalued. Being able to get your money's worth within like 2 events in 1 year. So yeah, I mean, but also agree 100%. If that thing's selling for $15,000 plus, and I bought it for $2,000, at that point I don't give a shit. Yeah, I'll flip it to some bozo. And buy my tickets if I want to go to VIP at that point. So yeah, I'm with you
yeah,
there.
you're probably not even gonna do that, dog. So it's like you're just gonna make the money selling it to some
Gonna
bozo.
make the
Like,
money
this
and
is,
buy
I'm gonna call
fucking
this like
Wonky Stonks is what I'm about to do.
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna call these the bozo passes, and I'll just sell them to any bozo that's willing to give me 10 ETH for that. But it'll happen. I mean, that's the thing though. Like, I think we're at that stage now, and I mean, I think the Porsche thing was like kind of silly, but I think they're right to be cautious, but like this is where new people new to the space that don't know how to trade or don't know anything, like they're just like they just say, "Ooh, high mint price bad," because they got wrecked, and now like they just can't use like those three brain cells. It's like them trying to like start a fire, like a caveman. It's like they just figured it out, but now it's like they don't know how to hunt for food. It's like, all right, like they were so like degenerate last cycle, and now they're going to be so like cautious and miss out on everything because it's just the pendulum. It's like the investor pendulum, and they're going to blow it and miss out on stuff like this, and then they're going to tweet, "I'm going to start selling to bozos," and like, "I can't believe I just missed out on the loud punks," like I think that's going to be a thing. So I don't know.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like just look at the numbers, right? I mean, you got 200 some thousand people like pulling up to Rolling Loud, right? That's buying $300-400 tickets, and there's only like 5,500, right?
Yeah.
And then you also have the apes. They just dropped 20,000 fucking monkey temple runs that are trading at like 2 ETH. So yeah, I mean, we keep saying bozo a lot, but we're not talking about the original entry mint, right? We're talking like, if we're going to be selling these like at a high target, right? Like
Hey,
10 plus.
actually,
Guys,
quick question: does anybody know when have they announced the actual sewer pass reveal / real mint yet? Like, have they given a
I think
date
it's
on that?
tomorrow.
Oh, is it really?
Is this for like the free mint thing?
It's the sewer pass for the
Oh, never. I'm thinking of something completely different. I'm sorry.
VGF. Do you have any idea?
I forget. I think it's still got a little bit of time left. Wasn't it like into February?
Sometime in February for sewer pass. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it was open for like a
18th
number
maybe.
of weeks. 16th,
Okay, so that's
18th.
what we've got.
Yeah, I
coming
think it was
up
18th.
this next week. We've got the sewer pass coming up next month. The Yuga Mint, as well as Blur coming up in the next couple of weeks as well. So
And Digidagaku, which is
Assuming
next
they don't fucking push it back
somebody's
again.
got some reverb on their mic. I'm not sure who. Yeah.
I just pinned it. I just pinned a tweet to
I promise it's not me, Kelly.
For everyone that what do you call it? It was American Airlines in 1980. They offered a free lifetime pass for $250,000, and two guys just fucking milked them so hard. I mean, this is different where there isn't an unlimited amount. If there's only 7 per year, but if you still go to all 7, you know what I mean? It's like, or you can sell the tickets to go to all 7 to people, like, But I just think it's like, I think this is insanely undervalued.
I don't know if you saw this, but
they're banking on the $20 fucking funnel cakes and $25 beers that they're going to be taxing people.
Hey guys, I was going to bring up the airline example, but you got to think about the Venn diagram overlap between people that want to go to this festival and people that are into NFTs as well. So that's one question that you should probably answer if you are investing in this thing. And then I do think it's a pretty convincing value proposition. But like Tomorrowland, for example, in Belgium, Tomorrowland had their own NFTs already on Solana. It wasn't quite as compelling as this one. Like it was only like if you have the NFTs, you can get onto the list to buy tickets, and there was some other kind of perks and benefits. That one has not really done that well. For example, I think this one seems more interesting because it's like some sort of lifetime pass that seems like crazily over benefited. But again, think about, you might have 200,000 people per event, but out of those, if it's like 0.1% into NFTs, which is even more than the global population proportion, then you have 200 people that want to buy this thing, right? So it's not that obvious as it might sound.
That'll be interesting to watch how that plays out, man. I will. You guys will have to keep me posted on it. But, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the space. I told myself I'm working on my sleep schedule. So, unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and call it for now. But I'm glad I was able to get something in today, and appreciate everybody new that came up here. And yeah, as always, we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a really interesting day. I'm sure that we're going to have a lot of action in the market with the FOMC announcement. So we will see. But until then, take it easy, y'all. Appreciate everybody again.
Good night.